قرآن واسق حياتي قرآن.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, today we'll learn 10 lessons from Juz 13. Let's go to our first lesson.
وما أبرئ نفسي إن النفس لأمارة بالسوء إلا ما رحم ربي إن ربي غفور رحيم.
The first lesson we get from this juz is a believer never considers oneself safe from his nafs. A believer knows that if it wasn't for the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over him, he would not be able to stop himself from sins. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam prays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that don't leave me on my own, even for a split of a second or blink of an eye.
قال اجعلني على خزائن الأرض إني حفيظ عليم.
The second lesson we get from this juz is accept the responsibility according to talent and qualification. If one has talent, qualification or specialization over something, we should use it in a proper way, in the proper field, and fulfill the responsibility in the society. For instance, when Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam was released from the jail, from the prison, when his innocence was proved, the king of Egypt gave him choice to take some of the responsibility and title. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam highlighted that he specialized in the field of economy and was willing to take up the responsibility. Hence, when required, a mu'min can come and take the responsibility according to his talent and qualification. When Imam Sadiq alayhi salam was asked that can a believer verbalize his capability, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said yes and gave the reference to Prophet Yusuf's story.
قال بل سولت لكم أنفسكم أمرا فصبر جميل عسى الله أن يأتيني بهم جميعا إنه هو العليم الحكيم.
The third lesson we learn from this juz is to have patience. A believer always tries to have the patience like Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. Sabr Jamil means being thankful and patient during the hardships. In one of the hadiths, Imam Ali alayhi salam says that there are two types of patience. One patience is the patience over calamity, and the other patience is the patience over impermissible things, over haram things. And Imam mentions in the same hadith, Imam says that this patience on haram things is better than the other patience.
قال لا تثريب عليكم اليوم يغفر الله لكم وهو أرحم الراحمين.
The fourth lesson we learn from this juz is forgive others. By forgiving, a believer comes nearer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His pleasure. One must always readily forgive others, as forgiveness is one of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a believer should try to reflect Creator's attributes. Remember, we are not ma'soom and we may make many mistakes. If others don't forgive us, we'll feel very bad. The same way, we understand that we must forgive each other to have a peaceful society.
قالوا يا أبانا استغفر لنا ذنوبنا إنا كنا خاطئين.
The fifth lesson we get from this juz is utilizing precious opportunities. That is, to make use of time in the best way. This ayat is about Prophet Yaqub when his children pleaded him and asked their father to ask for forgiveness for their deeds. We have some special times where we can get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the same way as we are in the month of Ramadan. We have different nights, the Laylatul Qadr, which is better than 1,000 months, or the time before Fajr, which is the blessed time. So we should try to utilize these precious times and opportunities.
ورفع أبويه على العرش وخروا له سجدا وقال يا أبت هذا تأويل رؤياي من قبل قد جعلها ربي حقا.
The sixth lesson we get from this juz is respect your parents in all situations. A believer respects and holds a high position for his parents always. Even when Prophet Yusuf was on a high position in Egypt, he still respected his father. The gist of hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, where he says that the best of the deeds are praying on time, good behavior with parents, and jihad in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, we understand that in all circumstances, we must respect our parents.
رب قد آتيتني من الملك وعلمتني من تأويل الأحاديث.
The seventh lesson we learn from this juz is remembering the kindness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A believer knows whatever he has is blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet Yusuf, despite having power in Egypt and having the knowledge of the dreams, the interpretation of the dreams, always considered himself humble in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and used to pray to Allah to die in his path as a believer.
والذين يصلون ما أمر الله به أن يوصل ويخشون ربهم ويخافون سوء الحساب.
The eighth lesson we get from this juz is maintaining good ties with blood relatives, which means silatul rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given great emphasis on maintaining good relationship and maintaining good ties with the relatives. Therefore, a true believer understands this and strives to maintain relationships for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Sir sanatain bir walidayk, sir sanatan sil rahimak. Which means if it is necessary, then travel the distance of 2 years to serve your parents, and travel the distance of 1 year to maintain relation with your blood relatives.
ولقد أرسلنا موسى بآياتنا أن أخرج قومك من الظلمات إلى النور وذكرهم بأيام الله إن في ذلك لآيات لكل صبار شكور.
The ninth lesson we learn from this juz is remember the days of Allah, Ayyamullah. There are few days which are affiliated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when Allah's power is shown openly through few events like the day when Prophet Musa alayhi salam saved Bani Israel from Fir'aun.
ربنا إني أسكنت من ذريتي بواد غير ذي زرع عند بيتك المحرم ربنا ليقيموا الصلاة.
The last lesson we get from this juz is sacrificing self-interest in the way of religion. A believer, even during hard times, readily carry out his religious responsibilities. Like how Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam readily left his wife and son in the barren desert when he got orders from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even though it was very hard for Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, but still he carried out for the sake of Allah and obeying Allah. Therefore, a mu'min should also sacrifice self-interest in the way of religion. These were the 10 lessons. Inshallah, we'll come again with the 10 lessons of the next juz. Till then, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
رحمن يا رحمن ساعدني يا رحمن اشرح صدري قرآن املأ قلبي قرآن واسق حياتي قرآن رحمن يا رحمن